Hello, good afternoon. I'm Ella Mascarenas from ROC. I live very close to the southwestern railway tracks. And we are not far away from the Konkan railway tracks as well. We are in between, slashed in between two tracks. It's like we live in an island surrounded by rakes, rails, trains, bogies, and loud horns.
This is the Southwestern Railway.
Yeah, this is the Southwestern Railway. And if you go a little further, you can see the Konkan Railway.
Okay.
My father-in-law had built the house about 75 to 80 years ago. And the house started developing cracks due to the vibration of frequent trains. And just imagine a house which was built 80 years ago of mud and with fewer trains can develop cracks, and now with double track, with the trains being double in number, frequent trains, faster trains, just imagine what will be the plight of our houses. Most of the houses in these villages of ROC, Welsang, Kansauli, Majorda have developed cracks. This rail track was laid on a footpath of people, somewhere in the 1800s.
Okay.
It was the end of the century. Probably at that time the Portuguese thought that we have to bring in goods or take. It was only for goods.
Okay.
Then they started a train for people to go to work.
Okay.
This coal, the first came the mining, and then came the coal.
Okay.
And now they want to double the transportation. It's only for transportation of coal.
And how often do the trains pass here? I'm asking this because I hear that locals have issues getting from one side to the other side. You'll are blocked by the when the train passes. You'll are blocked.
Yes.
Can you speak about?
Yes, it is very dangerous for the people. A few days back we had two incidents. Two people were killed, hit by the train while crossing the tracks. They were unaware that the train was coming. Imagine if someone is sick in the house and we call an ambulance. First of all, the ambulance cannot reach us because this gates are closed for at least 10-15 minutes, sometimes even half an hour. And then even if you get the sick person into the ambulance, we have no way to go to the hospital. Here there is a track, here there is a gate, you go a little further, there's another one. That side is a Konkan gate, and we are blocked inside here.
And also, I'm guessing the noise is very loud when they pass by, disturbing your sleep.
They hoot so loudly that people get into depression because every half an hour a rake passes, people are woken up by that sound and they can't go back to sleep. People go to depression. A lot of people ask me, why do you have dark under eyes? That's the reason. I have been married here for the last 28 years, but till date it disturbs me.
And I'm guessing for the older people, for the children answering exams, is a big...
Exactly, it is. My mother would never like to come here. She would say throughout the day, the moment it is evening time, she would say, I have to go home because I can't sleep here. And if she sleeps here, next morning she would say, whole night I couldn't sleep, I cannot stay in your house. Okay. So, and older people living here, they have depression, they have mental issues, they have high BP, all this because of lack of sleep, because of disturbances. Okay. And of course the coal is another issue, not just the train. Yes. The coal, the rakes carrying coal are so frequent, and they don't cover the top of the rakes properly, so the coal flies into the air.
Correct.
And which settles on all our, fruits, our vegetables, our flowering plants, and it destroys crops. Okay. If you go into scientific studies and read and research, you will find coal is very bad for flowers, fruits. It's very bad crop. Even our coconuts, we always wonder why the coconut is like this. Today we come to know why the coconut, it doesn't grow well.
You also mentioned about wells being...
Yes. Then the coal also falls down on the tracks. Okay. And then when it rains, the water flows into the ground naturally and into our wells through streams. So the waters here are contaminated.
So you have water contaminated, you have air contaminated.
Yes, even our seashore. The port is not very far from all these coastal areas. Sometimes you can find coal as far as Kolwa and Benauli. We have found it so many times. Our fish surely is contaminated. NIO has done a study somewhere in, I think in the Mandovi River. I had written it down somewhere on oysters, and they found that there is contamination there.
And so even though I'm guessing the human lives also affected by this diseases, you'll maybe suffering from cold, cough,
Yes,
chest.
we are. My son was so bad that for continuously for about 3-4 months he was coughing, and doctors just could not rule out what was the issue with him. He was put on nebulizer, allergic medicines, everything. That poor fellow, he used to feel sad, to go to school. He would say, Mama, I'm disturbing the children. At church, father would look at him, what's wrong with this
He used
boy?
to cough.
Yes, every second. Quiet. Meaning as if something is stuck in his throat. And every medicine was tried on him. And then finally one fine day we decided to move to the city because he was in grade 10 and he had more classes to attend and all that. And instantly the cough stopped. So we came to know this was the reason. To imagine him coughing in these times, COVID times, everyone would throw him out of the class and the church and everywhere. It is not just that. Even me, for that matter, I grew up in another village, and when I got married here, after 2-3 years, I started suffering from asthma. It is the reason I believe is the coal, nothing else. The dust created by the railway tracks.
Ma'am, if it's causing so much of damage to the environment, what will happen if the double track takes place?
Yeah, exactly.
They'll acquire more land, but how will it add to the existing damage that's been caused to the people who live around the tracks?
First of all, our houses will collapse because they're my house is at least few meters away from the track. There are houses very, very close to the tracks. They will surely collapse.
And there's some really old houses also here.
Yes, old ancestral homes.
Can you tell how old some of the houses are?
Some were built even in the 1700s, 1800s, but they still stand strong because they were built in those times. But today, with doubling of the tracks and more rakes going through with coal, and once they increase the import of coal at MPT, how will they take it? They have to take it either by railroad or now they want to build jetties also. So they want to destroy the whole of Goa. So one thing is the houses will collapse. Secondly, it will affect our vegetation, our fish, our flora, our fauna, and our health. More importantly, our health.
And ma'am, last question. You spoke about your father-in-law and your mother. What life must have been earlier, 80 or 100 years ago. So that way of life, that culture is all getting affected. Just simple things like walking from here to the market or to your fields is affected.
Yes, because I remember my husband always used to say that his father used to go across, these tracks. There was a place for them to ride a cycle. He even rode a bike. But now if you see, and I used to walk, when I got married 28 years ago, I used to walk along these tracks to go for mass. Today I can't even step close to the tracks because there's no way. They have our houses have gone down and the track has come up. If you go further down in Kansauli, you will come to know. And
you have to cross a track from this side, and you have to cross a track from the Konkan railway. So both sides, you are living in between two railway tracks.
Two railway tracks. And both the tracks disturb us, the Konkan railway and the Southwestern railway as well. Both the tracks. And if you see, the Konkan railway also has caused a lot of destruction. It was built in between the people's fields. Now they are unable to cross, and now they have electrified, and they are saying, don't cross the track because it is electrified. Now tell me, how are the farmers supposed to go to their fields? And there are no rail over bridges. There are no rail underpasses. How are people supposed to cross?
Have there been any incidents where people crossing the electrified tracks?
Yeah, recently there was a death. They are
Okay.
saying it is a suicide. Now who knows whether he committed suicide or whether he died, how he died.
Okay.
I don't
He
know whether
touched the
they're
fence.
probably,
Yeah, okay.
probably. We are in ROC. This is St. Laurent Chapel in ROC. There is a book written by Mr. Themistocolis de Silva. He's a researcher, a scientist who lives in US, but he's my neighbor. And on that book, he has put in a map of 1610 where he shows that St. Laurent Chapel exists since then. The railway came much later, somewhere in 1800s. And today they claim to claim the land besides the chapel. One day, out of the blue, they came and put up a lot of material here. And one of the neighbors saw, and then we made a noise, and we told them they were putting a pole for electrification. They had no permission from the panchayat, from any local body. And when questioned, they say, no, it is only for electrification. But then we said, you get the permissions. But they had no permissions to show. So the work was stopped by our panchayat and our local leaders.
And ma'am, this is the rite of passage. The
Yeah,
people
this is
just
a-
went to the passage.
This is a traditional way which has been existed for years together. When they were putting in the, when they were raising this track, we had to put steps. Otherwise, there were no steps. It was just ground level. People used to just cross and go. One day they came and they even blocked that with the rails. And then I don't know, and the police came and they must have removed it.
And ma'am, if the double tracking happens, how will it affect this chapel? Will the land of the chapel be acquired? Will this road also be acquired?
Yes, of course. They say that they want 30 meters from the tracks. If it is 30 meters, one of our committee member, Mr. Aushal, he was telling me it will reach our altar. So most of our chapel will be destroyed. You know, it is one of our heritage monuments,
Yes.
which we have in our village, and we want to save it. We love it. This was built probably because the church was too far away for the people of ROC, and we want to save it for our future generations.
Do you know approximately how many people come to this chapel in this?
The most of our wards from ROC come to this chapel.
How many wards would that be?
9.
9 wards.
9 wards.
My name is Max D'Souza and I'm here in Valsam village, which we are agitating against the double track.
The track is behind you, right?
Yeah, the track is, you see, is behind me. As you can see, I'm not affected by the line acquisition, but everyone in Valsam is affected by the noise pollution and the coal dust pollution. We have coal dust, which is affecting our agro products. Our coconuts are shrinking, the size of our coconuts are shrinking, our fruits are getting spoiled, ground water is being polluted. So we are affected in that form.
And you're part of the VECAD.
I take an active part in the panchayat activity. I'm the chairperson of the biodiversity committee. I'm also a chairperson of the village development committee. And I assist, I'm not a panch or elected member, but I assist the panchayat in all what is required to be done to save our village.
Speaking of biodiversity, as you're the chairman of the village biodiversity BMC committee, how has the biodiversity of this area been affected by the existing track?
I mentioned, no,
Yeah, yeah.
the fruit and
Yeah.
the underground.
And if there's so much damage, how much more damage will be caused if the double?
Exponential. It will be exponential. It will be exponential. It will be exponential not only by the number of because of the doubling. It will be exponential because the number of coal rakes will also increase. Today, the movement on the track is slowed down because there are congestion points. Once you have a free flow on both sides, there will be a continuous flow, and it will be exponential.
Speaking about the speed of the trains, as you mentioned, the passing by, we spoke to a lot of locals who told us that their structure, their walls are crumbling due to the vibrations caused by the speed of the trains. Have you come across people who have suffered like this?
No, I mean, I'll go a little deeper into the question of speed. When the track was first laid, it was a meter gauge track. It was built during the Portuguese era. The speed at which the trains were moving was 40 kilometers an hour. Today, they are moving at 110 kilometers an hour. Our ancestors had kept a patch of land on both sides of the track, about 10 meters, which was very well thought of. They were intended for vibration dampers. There was a trench built, and you had the vibration being absorbed by those trenches. So it was not affecting the old buildings because they were going below the vibration was moving below. So that was kept with intention. Today the railways claim it is their land. So so we have filed a petition in the High Court, in the local High Court, and our two main issues on that petition are number one, does the panchayat have a say in the local development, as mentioned in the constitution, as mentioned in the Town and Goa Panchayat Raj Act, as mentioned in the Town and Country Planning Act. They are violating everything. They are not even consulting us. Their own railway board mandates that they talk and ensure that they talk to the local panchayat. But they don't care. They are arrogant. Arrogant.
And in the last 2 years, people have been agitating, coming on the streets. Do you believe that the people's movement has at least may have prevented or stopped the railways from going ahead with the way they were?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. On the contrary, it's a shame, and we are sad to tell you that the railways come with police force. They have come with police force to force their way through. And during the day, there's hardly anybody in the village. So only senior citizens like us are called out to come and help. And when we go and meet we've sent the police force. I'm telling you, I'm repeating, police force with guns threatening our villages. With no documents at all. They have no documents, they've got no papers, no authorization, nothing.
And so you have been living here. I'm guessing your family also has been living here. What was it like before all this? I mean, I'm sure now the way of life has been you cannot live the way you used to live in the past.
No, our way of life is only affected by the pollution and all the pollution, the noise pollution, the coal dust pollution. That's but otherwise we are living a normal village life. We have no. But what has now activated everyone is to come out openly against this pollution, against this railway, because it is affecting. See, my place is quite far from it. It does affect the vibrations, but mine is also our mud and stone wall structure. It has been there for more than 100 years. We are affected. In my house also there are cracks, but we can sort of manage. But what about people who are on the railway track? And who's there to speak for them? Who's there to speak on their behalf to the railways, to the government authorities? So what is happening now is for nearly every second day, people come to us. Please come out. Please help us. Because they all know that we have done some work, we've done some studies, we know what the situation is, we know what's happening in the Supreme Court, we know what's happening in the High Court, so we can counter them. And then they backtrack. But they are trying to push their way through, blatantly.
And if the double tracking, they'll acquire land in this area? No,
No, in our area it is
Nothing.
not.
Okay.
But as I said, our ancestors, if you look at my old Portuguese land document, my property extends to the railway line. But if you see, we have kept a wall there because our ancestors have left this land for three purposes. The 10 meters is left with three objectives. Number one, it is that people move up and down. If you look at the houses, look at this house, which is the entrance.
That is the entrance.
That is the entrance, which indicates that was the old road. Look at my entrance. Of course, now that was my entrance. Means we were using this. Our ancestors used this and access to the main road. The Portuguese wanted to build a railway line in a hurry, so they requested the landowners, please give us this land, we'll lay a road and we'll do something, and we built that. They built that road for us. So they took our existing road and built another road for us. But these railway guys do nothing. If you go along the railway track, you find that the Portuguese even built steps. I don't know if you visited some spots today.
Yeah.
They built steps. They were considerate. These people don't just listen and they only talk verbally. The railway code and the directions they have received from the railway board, the general manager, zonal manager of the railways have received from the railway board is that you should interact, you should consult the local people. See, in these places we have got all ground plus one structure. You can't come up with a 10-story building. You have to, your structure has to be in compliance with the local environment. All empty.
Yeah.
The trains are all empty. You can see the train. There's hardly 5%, 10% occupancy. And they're saying that they want to put new trains. It's just fooling everyone. The supreme, I only hope the people in power who are now talking about, commenting on the verdict, Supreme Court verdict, I think they have not read the report. They should read the report. The Supreme Court has said very clearly, these are just some extracts, that RVNL have given data without even going through, without unauthenticated data. And as you can see, you're saying that traffic will increase, this will go up, that will go up. All contradictory, all lies, which the Supreme Court, going by the recommendations and as put in by the CEC, have quoted that in their judgment. I only hope that our elected representatives who have commented on this Supreme Court verdict, I only hope they read that judgment and then comment. I'm sure they will be ashamed when they realize what they have said in the